Hello guys, welcome to the best mouse keyboard settings and Apex settings. We're going to go over pretty much every setting that's relevant and also settings out of the game. So first we'll just start with launch options. It's the simplest. Only thing you need in here is what you cap your FPS at. And you could also do like -dev if you want to skip the start screen. But other than that, I wouldn't put anything else in here. After that, we'll go through NVIDIA settings. The main thing for MnK in this game is reducing input lag. So I'm just going to go through a few of those. This setting here, and adjust desktop and size to be full screen or no scaling. If you play native, you should use no scaling. But if you play a custom res, you can't use this. So the next best option is full screen. Obviously, make sure you're on your highest refresh rate that you can use. And these are going to be my 3D settings. These are actually pretty important. And for my color settings, I just have pretty much all default here, but digital vibrance up to 70, gamma to 1.05. This helps with like making the game look a little bit better, a little easier to see people. And for monitor settings, the only things that are important is black equalizer to 10, and make sure DIAC and all that stuff is off, FreeSync and whatnot, depending on like what monitor you have. I personally use MnK right now, so DIAC is off. And then AMA is on high. Those are like the 3 big settings for monitor settings. It's pretty much all default, and then those couple of settings there. All right, now that we've handled the settings out of the game, let's go through some of the important in-game settings. This one is pretty nice. It just makes all the visual pop-ups on the ground with guns and armor and boxes smaller and obscure less of your screen. I'd say the next important setting is ping opacity, so you can aim through your teammates' pings. Sometimes when you ping something, you can't see through it, and it blocks LOS, so good to have off. And then down here, jetpack control if you play Valk on hold. It's really good. And then there's one more. Taking damage closes death box or crafting menu. This is really bad. Keep this off. All right, next we're going to talk about video settings. Very simple. I've tried countless reses, countless FOVs, over 11,000 hours playing this game, and by far native is just the most consistent. Stretch reses are really nice and they run a little bit better, but if you want like consistency and close quarters, native is just the best all around res, to be honest. Sprint shake view on minimal, and then these are my video settings. Pretty much everything's off or low. Reflex enabled, and yeah, it's pretty much on all off or low. Very simple here. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is keybinds. I don't really change much. I have a few weird binds, but obviously you want to move forward on scroll for tap strafing, jump on your bottom scroll for jumping. You can mix match those however is best for you. This is just for movement bunny hopping. I'd say the only other thing that's notable in here is my ADS is on toggle. It's not very common, but it's just kind of a preference. All right, now that we're in the range, let's get to the meat and the potatoes of this video. Sensitivity in this game is very important, but there is no such thing as a perfect sense, perfect ADS senses, perfect DPI. There is no such thing as perfect. As long as it's within a certain range, more effective than like playing super low sense or super high. You don't want either of those. You want to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm playing on 800 DPI, and this is my in-game sense, 1.3. These are my ADS modifiers. I don't run one-to-one fire in one times, but generally in this game, you want to go from the left side of your mouse pad that you use all the way to the right, and it should come out to like more than a 360, a little bit more than a 360, a little bit less. Like if you did this and you came out to like here, that's probably fine. The reason why you want your sensitivity to be in a certain range in this game is there's a lot of extremely close interactions with other players who are either landing on you, sliding on you, and you need to be able to track them, like whether they're jumping up and down, super gliding. There's a lot of very fast movement all around you, very close to you. So somewhere in that range would be best. It's mostly just preference. So it really doesn't matter what your sense is, as long as it's not like super low or super high. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing that's important is your mouse and your mouse pad and your keyboard too, but keyboard really doesn't matter. I don't have a lot of experience with running different mice and mouse pads. I've used less than probably like 10 for both. I'm currently using a G Pro Superlight. Definitely recommend this mouse. Very nice for pretty much any game I play. I'm using an Artisan Tatiotsu. It's a pretty fast cloth pad. I'm really interested to try out glass mouse pads very soon. I might make a video on those entirely. But yeah, the main thing with your peripherals is that you're comfortable with them. It's kind of like your sensitivity. Like, as long as you're not using some crazy, you know, MMO mouse with 50 buttons or a mouse that weighs a lot, you know, just common mouse pads that people recommend, as long as you're comfortable with them, that's all that really matters. There's no perfect mouse, there's no perfect mouse pad. It's just kind of finding what you're comfortable with. And, you know, after like 6-7 months, I might look for like a new mouse or something if I feel like it. And if I like that mouse, I'll just stay on it. You know, I'll just stay on it until it breaks, or I want to try something else. Not really put a whole lot of thought into it. And I don't think it's really worth, I think your time should be spent improving at the game itself, rather than, you know, worrying about who's playing on what settings, who's playing on what sense, you know, what's the perfect sense. At the end of the day, it doesn't exist. And the only way to really get better is to practice.